afternoon, Mr. Rogers.
What's going on, Mr. Pittman? How we doing today?
Things are fine. Nothing to complain about.
That's what's up, man. Sound like you had your coffee this morning, man.
Yeah, well, I had a little bit, and I got pretty good rest today, so as of right now, I'm feeling pretty good.
Okay. Well, shoot, man. I think about 3 weeks ago we had got clearance that the Japanese ban was lifted on LuisNery, and supposedly in the Tokyo Dome on May 6th, the Japanese had lifted that ban because he had popped hot for a Zil Powderall, and he also was like 4 pounds over, and that was in their culture. That was like heavily egregious, so they put a ban on him, and they didn't know if they was gonna lift it, but they decided to lift it because it's a big name. It was a name that had been floating around and being attached to Inoue for a while, so they lifted the ban, and so now it's on. Now this guy Nery, he's 9-1 since since that incident happened, so he's been coming back. He did lose to Brandon Figueroa. Brandon Figueroa stopped him to a body shot. That was on that film that video I sent you. But I wanted to talk about it, man. I wanted to get your thoughts on the fight and what you see and with his style and how you think he gonna measure. I'll let you go first.
Okay, what I think in the fight is that Inoue has the ability to box and move in and out, use his footwork, offset his opponent, get his opponent off balance. Inoue will fight him in that style where he's on the outside, he's going to move in, he's going to throw his punch, he's going to get out the way, he's going to constantly dart in and out in the same fashion that he fought Fulton with. Now, Nery appears to be a fighter that likes to kind of be aggressive, but his opponent has to be aggressive too, so that they can both be on the inside trying to get off body shots and land their best shots. That's the type of fight that Figueroa fought with him. If Figueroa would have boxed more, kept him on the outside, used his height and his reach, I think he would have made a more difficult fight for Nery. However, what he did was he fought the type of fight that makes Nery a little more comfortable, where he don't have to look for his opponent to be able to land his shot, whether it be upstairs or downstairs. And because Nery does not appear to be the good counterpuncher, it is a more effective fight for him to fight on the inside with a willing opponent. If Figueroa wasn't as willing to fight like that and use more of the ring, his height and reach, it would have been a more difficult fight for Nery. However, this fight was a brawl, and it proved that Figueroa could endure more of his punishment than he could of Figueroa. And ultimately, Figueroa was able to stop him. But I think Figueroa forced the fight to be more competitive than it actually had to be. Now, when Nery fights Inoue is not going to just be there in a firefight, giving him an opportunity. Inoue is going to present certain angles. He's going to move in. He's going to dart out. He's going to get his punch up, move back, and he's going to confuse Nery. And he's going to frustrate Nery. And I just don't see Nery's ring IQ capable enough to be able to outfigure Inoue in a real competitive fight. He seems to be one-dimensional, and that's to just get in, put his head down, and throw punches. I don't see him being a counter puncher. I don't see how he figures out what he needs to do to land a shot. I think it will be target practice for Inoue.
Man, I thought I was gonna be brutal. You alluded to the IQ, but what I saw, man, I mean, and it might be a cliche of a saying or an analysis. It might be a cookie cutter analysis, but you know when they say this boxer does everything better than this other boxer, it's like and I was trying to give Nery some credit. I would say he got decent power. You know what I'm saying? I think Figueroa is a little rough. Nery has decent power, but I don't think that I don't think he has more power than Nonito Donaire, and the way Nonito Donaire set it up, because Nonito Donaire can come. Not only does he have power, but he can set it up the way you don't see it. So that's even worse for an opponent. He has decent power, but when I looked at it, I'm looking at the scoring criteria. When I say how is his defense, he don't really have no defense. He comes forward with his hands down a lot. He don't jab his way in. He winds up on, when I say effective punching, he winds up on his punching, meaning he like to do that left hook and that right hook. It's almost like automatic, like once he get in motion to do one, he gonna do the other, but he has to cock back both arms when he wants to do it, so that's gonna be telegraphed. He backs up in a straight line with his hands down. He's not that, when I effective punching, he's not that accurate. I mean, Inoue is dangerously accurate. He comes in with his, like I said, he had put a high guard up, but there's a lot of time. I don't know if that was just against Figueroa, but a lot of time, and he tried to bait Figueroa in a lot of times, like where he dropped his hands on purpose. It was kind of like sticking his head out like a little worm, you know, like, hey, come get me. And if you try to do anything that like that with Inoue, I already think it's gonna be a very, very short fight. And like I said, ring jump, he's not gonna be able to do whatever he wants. Inoue is too smart to get engaged in a firefight with him. I don't really know if he's really even gonna really be able to hit Inoue, man, because he telegraphed a lot. So, I mean, I know it's a name, but looking at his style and what he brings to the table, I'm happy he's able to get his bag for his country, Mexico, and all that. He's another guy that Inoue chose. A lot of fans had wanted to see this fight, but I think it's gonna be a very short night, man. I don't even know if this thing lasts 3 rounds, unless Inoue want to put on a show for the fans. I don't think so. I think he's really business. I think once he figure out what he can do and how he can do it, maybe after that first fill-out round, maybe the second round, third round, when he sees this guy can't really, he look at all them habits and he start putting together his strategy, like how he's going to attack, it's over. I think it's going to be very simple for him to break this guy down. I see a one-sided onslaught. I mean, it's hard not to see it when you talk about Inoue, but I didn't really see anything from Nery that was like, man, he can mess with Inoue. That's just being honest, man. I don't think he has no shot. Puncher's chance, maybe. You know what I'm saying? If ever a puncher's chance was to be used, this would be it for me.
With fighting Inoue, you have to have good lateral footwork. You have to have the ability to throw a punch, step back from a punch, move in, and constantly create angles. Because that's what Inoue is going to do. So in order to counter what Inoue is going to do, you're going to have to be able to duplicate that yourself. Because if you're not able to do that, then you're going to allow Inoue to dictate the fight the way he wants it to go. And if you do that, you're going to find yourself with a false sense of security. You're going to have to make angles. You're going to have to hit them, make them miss, constantly move back and forth, pick your shots. If you're not able to do that, it's going to be a long night. Inoue will figure you out. Donaire had the ability to do a lot of these things, okay? Now, in the very first fight they had, He fought gallantly. He put up a good effort. Even though he did not win that fight, he lost by a unanimous decision. But it showed that his ability to be able to have some ring generalship, it showed in that fight, and he was able to end that fight on his feet. He didn't, it wasn't a controversial win. Inoue won by unanimous decision, but his ability to know the ring and how to fight allowed him to put up a very, very good competitive bout. Now, in the second fight, Inoue's ability to figure him out early and to know what he needed to do, predicated on his very first fight with him, I think he was able to do his homework. And in doing that, he was able to stop Donaire early. And he did it in a very, very fashionable manner. The problem with Nery is he does not have those attributes to be able to box and have that type of ring generalship. So I see him trying to figure out what Inoue is going to do, and while he's doing that, he's not really putting off an offense of his own. He wants to just come in and get in the middle of the ring and exchange punches. Figueroa allowed that type of fight to happen, but I think Figueroa could have made the fight easier if he boxed a little more. However, Figueroa likes to brawl.
Yeah, that's when I see Nery, that's what I say. I said, man, this is a guy with really no bells and whistles. I mean, I saw him try to use his footwork a little bit at some point in time with Figueroa, and I'm like, well, dang, Nery, why are you not using your footwork? But also when he uses footwork and create space, since the Figueroa was coming at him, when people come at you, you supposed to, like, when you make that distance and you get off in an angle and they come at you, you supposed to already have a punch that you gonna deliver and then move and then deliver the other one, like, to kind of keep them guessing, like, yeah, you can't just come in any kind of way, you gotta come in a certain kind of way. I didn't really see that. Like you said, it's almost like he tried to be a counter puncher at times, but I think that when it comes to Inoue, man, his reflexes are too sharp, man. You cannot rely on trying to, I mean, unless you got the speed to work with him. Somebody like, unless you got the speed like a Ryan Garcia or somebody with fast hands, maybe like Tank, like who can get from A to B real quick. If you got that kind of speed where you can, even Frank Martin maybe, if you had that kind of speed to where you could punch with him, you can do that. But like I saw him trying to do that with Figueroa, where he was trying to time Figueroa, like trying to throw as soon as he throw, Figueroa was still tagging him. And maybe every now and again he'll hit Figueroa to the body, but he's like, he want to play rock'em sock'em too much. And that style, I don't see any. See, Donaire had adjustments. He could make adjustments. I think that Inoue gonna do something early in this fight, maybe by the end of this first round, maybe after the first minute and a half, 2 minutes, he gonna do something. And when Nery can't adjust to what he's doing, like you said, it's gonna be like shooting fish in the barrel, man. Target practice, man. And that's just what I see. That's just what I'm being real. I'm being honest about. So I'm like, I might be looking past it, but I know Inoue and them, they don't look past it. But I just think that's a good name. You know, he's staying active, which he needs to do. And that's how I see it going, man, because there's no added extra intellect or nothing like that when it comes to Nery, man. He's a banger, man. He wanna do the same thing that Figueroa did, and he just hoping that he catch you one of them times before you catch him.
Yeah, when I watch Nery fight, it tends to show that, as you indicated, he wants to be a banger, okay? And he wants to be a banger on the inside. And when you're a banger like that from the inside, your punch capacity is not predicated off of your jab. You know, a lot of good fighters, they predicate setting up their other punches off their jab, okay? They may throw the hook, but it comes off the jab, okay? they may throw the right hand or the left hand lead or whatever, and then follow with the other hand. But it's predicated first off the jab. Okay? What Nery has the tendency to do is when he's fighting, he wants to get in tight. And his punches is the hook predicated off another hook. And after that, another hook. The jab isn't really a relevant part of his fight combination. He wants to throw the uppercut, he wants to throw the hook, and now it's the hook off the other. The jab is not an important part of the calculus in what he's trying to do. But that only works with a fighter that's going to brawl with you on the inside. If you take away that, and you have no other jab that can set up your other punches, then it may look like you're a little wild because you're trying to throw a hook. And then after that hook, you're throwing another hook. And if you miss, it makes you look bad because nothing's set up off of the jab. Yeah. And fighting Inoue, unless he can force his jab to be a really competitive part of this fight, if he cannot establish a jab and his punches coming off the jab, he's gonna look awkward against Inoue.
Yeah, like the jab was non-existent, and most of the time, if you're not gonna jab, you use feints. I was looking for him to feint more, like try to create that, like where I'm not just coming in, something to be tactical when you get in. Didn't really see many feints, and then I also had to note that when we was doing that Fulton and Figueroa, when we was looking at it, when we was analyzing all of that, we saw that Fulton was like, I think he was like number one as far as getting hit. He was like number one as far as the most hit person in the ring. Like he don't have the best defense. This guy Nery was cocking back and swinging, and when he swung a couple times, he missed so bad. I'm like, you cannot afford to miss like that against Inoue. First of all, whenever you miss, they say it take away your energy. So you're gonna tire yourself out, and he will. If you miss like that against Inoue, he's gonna make him pay. So, I mean, I'm not taking a crap on the fight. I just think that he outgunned and outmatched in this one. He getting his bite at the apple, which I don't blame him for taking it. But I see it being early, man, because he's not accurate, man. He's wild, no jab, no feints. He can use some footwork, but when he uses footwork, he looked like he didn't know what to do off of the footwork when he was in the spot that he wanted to get to. So that's just what I see, man. I figure, hey, get your take on it and see what's going on. You know, what did you see, if it was anything? But it sounded like you right in line with what I saw.
Yeah, because, you know, a hook is a good punch to have, but just trying to set up a hook on your opponent with not having the jab and the counter movement, it appears that you may be lunging at your opponent. Unless, of course, your opponent engages tight in a brawl, then you're able to throw the hook because you don't have room for a jab. The only punch you can get off is a hook or uppercut when your heads are together and you're looking for an opening. That's the only punch you can throw is a hook. You can't throw the straight right hand. You can only throw the uppercut, and you can only throw hooks. But if your opponent takes away that from you, then you're going to have to put together a punch pattern, something that's going to be effective. And for most fighters, in order for this type of calculation to be effective, it has to be predicated off the jab. The jab has to allow you to maybe set up the other punches. Because if the jab is not setting up the punches, then you're hooking from too far away. And a good fighter is able to see that. And you can become vulnerable because as you lunge with your hook, you're leaving yourself open. And someone like Inoue, that has the ability of throwing a straight right hand, you have to watch out. Because if he's standing there and you go to throw the hook and he kind of just leans back a little bit, you better watch out, because here comes the right hand.
Yeah.
He'll feint back with the hit and then come straight with the right hand. That's what he did to Naoya in the second fight that really got him in trouble.
He never saw it.
Naoya came in, he kind of feinted back like he was going to move back, and then just threw the straight right hand without a jab, and it was picture perfect, and it hurt him. And he was never the same after that fight. After that knockdown.
Yeah, that's the same, almost kind of like the same thing Berlanga did this past weekend. He never saw it coming, but yeah, you see it the same way. You see it the same way I see it. When I look at it, I'm like, I know Inoue is licking his chops because Figueroa did that to the body, and he definitely overextends him with a hook. You coming from left to right with a hook. By the time you miss, your whole body is shifted over there to the right, and everything on the left, that whole left side is open and vulnerable. Anyway, he has some good reflexes. So it should be interesting. Maybe he get up for the fight. Maybe sometimes they say styles make fights. It's just I didn't see anything on film that let me think that this was going to be competitive. So that was just my take. That was my take on it. You've been keeping up with anything else in boxing?
No, not really. I haven't seen any fights. It's just that, I'm looking forward to some upcoming fights. We're looking at Martin and Tank. I think that's going to be a fight that, as far as the lightweight division is concerned, that's a fight that we need to see. Okay, because that lightweight division is open right now, and you got some competitors out there that need to showcase their ability on the big stage. So Martin is getting his opportunity, and I'm looking forward to that. And then we're going to have Garcia and Haney. I think that's a real competitive fight. I think that Haney's ring generalship is maybe a little better than Garcia's. And because of that, I think he might be able to prevail in this fight. As long as he can stay away from the left hook of Garcia. But when it comes to the IQ of both fighters, I think Haney possesses a little bit more in his ability to have the ring generalship, to move around the ring, knowing what to do, where to stay at, where not to be at. I think he's a little better than Ryan. Ryan, if you're able to hurt Ryan, I think you could take Ryan off of his normal fight pattern. Okay? A lot of fighters, once they get hurt, you see something totally different in him. I think if Haney is able to hurt Ryan and make Ryan uncomfortable, I think Ryan's ability to hold his ring generalship is going to slowly start to fade.
Yeah, I think when I look at that fight, I look at it and I say, man, again, I think Devin, he knows that Ryan's susceptible to the body. That's probably one of the weaker, he's vulnerable to getting hit in the body. So I think he's going to have to do body work. But also when he's doing that, that's going to put him in range to where if he don't land or if he's too slow and he don't get out right, because he got some bad tendencies when he escaped, Ryan can clip him. I just think Ryan need to stand on that jab. He need to not do that little taco shell or whatever. He need to be confident in his stance and just focus on, soon as he get his measure Devin, know that from this angle, this is where I can hit him. and know that soon as Devin get inside that range, that punch need to be he need to fire that jab, and if he can't come off with the hook or check hook him and go, and he got to go to Devin's body. I would go to Devin's body because I think Devin tries to get to you early. He'll try to rack up points early on, and then in later on in the rounds, he just really just sticking and moving and just, you know, not avoiding the big punches or whatever, getting points as he can. He try to skate out like that. So I think Ryan can fall behind on the scorecard, like especially after about round 5 if he don't get heated up. But I don't really think he's gonna have. I don't think that Philly shell is what he was trying to do. I don't really think it's gonna look like what Duarte had, because that dude Duarte was actually, he was just really just a puncher. He could just punch, you know, and I think that I think his punches actually hurt. I'm not saying Devin's not gonna hurt, but I don't think he's gonna have that reservation as far as Devin being able to really like crack him. So I don't really think he's gonna respect it as much. I think he's gonna be either getting peppered up by Devin's jab, or if he don't cut that ring off, like when he was because a lot of people was criticizing him up against Fortuna, saying that he couldn't really cut the ring off before he really ended it. But one thing about Ryan is he kind of has shown that he can make an adjustment and close in on somebody. I mean, he did, we saw what happened with Tank. But prior to that, and even with Duarte, he showed he can make an adjustment and come through and lay on some power. I think he just got to be confident in his abilities and listen to Derrick James, because Derrick James is going to have a good game plan for him. I don't think he can go out. This is not one of them ones where he can ad-lib. He got to stick to the script and do exactly what Derrick James is telling him to do, because I think Derrick James will have a good plan for him. He's got to be confident in his abilities and trust the process. And we'll get a real competitive fight. I think it's a lot more competitive than what people are giving it credit for. I'm leaning towards Devin because, like you said, I think his IQ is a little bit better, and I think that his style, he's gonna have that style where you're gonna have to cut the ring off. He's gonna force you to. It's like them wide receivers when they make you, when they make you go all the way out to the edge, like almost out of bounds, and then they cut up. It's like you gotta respect the fact that I'm out here. You gotta respect that I'm over here, so you gotta follow me out here. You gotta do something. I'm gonna make you work. Like, you're gonna have to go all the way out to the sideline, and then I'm gonna go up, and then I'm gonna come back. But I think he's gonna make Ryan work, use his feet. He's gonna try to get him frustrated to where he's like, "Come on, just fight," almost like how Bivol did with Canelo. And I think we're gonna actually have a good fight. I look for that fight to heat up around about 8 or 9 rounds. I think around that point in time, that's when Ryan, he's either gonna be up against it on the points, or he's gonna be figuring like, look, man, I gotta knock this dude out, or I'm gonna take another L. And that's when we're gonna really get a fight from like the 9th, probably like the 8th, 9th, and up. Like the last 4 or 5 rounds, when we really gonna see that fight. Really, like, we're gonna have a fight. I think at that point. So we gotta see how Devin receives that power. This is the first time he's gonna be up against somebody that's just as tall, just as long, and has this kind of punching power. It's the first time we're gonna see Devin against somebody like that, so that's gonna be very interesting. He hasn't faced anybody like this yet, where he don't have all the advantages. It's the first time ever. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to this fight. It seems to be something that, at least a fight fan, can enjoy, because you got 2 young guys out there, and they both, are eager to showcase their skill, and this should be a real competitive fight. Like you said, around the 9th round or so, we might begin to see where one fighter can really go over the edge and start showing their dominance in the fight. So yeah, around the 9th or 10th round, we're gonna see who is the better competitor in this fight.
yeah, and Ryan can't take no rounds off. You know what I'm saying? He tend to do that in mid rounds. He'll take breaks, but yeah, that's how I see it. That fight is on April 20th, and the Inoue and Nery fight is on May the 6th. So we got a big one in May, and we got a big one right toward the end of April, and then we got another big one like right at the beginning of May, first week of May. So we got some things, and there's some other things still gotta pop out. Prime still gotta announce their release. Nobody really knows. I haven't really done anything about the Frank and Tank yet because, like, yeah, I did a little something, but it's like, and nothing has really been. There ain't no big announcements, no big, so I'm gonna wait for all of that before I get into that. But yeah, that's all that's pretty much going on. I figure, man, it's been a minute since we did some Inoue, and I'm gonna keep looking at these articles and looking, and we'll continue to do these series as I see the information and get it over to you.
Sounds good to me.
All right, then. Well, it was good talking that good old Inoue talk. I'll let you go. I'm gonna go ahead and chop this up, edit it out, and get it out. You know what I'm saying? Get it out to the masses.
All right, and I'll be looking forward to an update and that we can continue and put something else out there for your listeners to, think about.
All right, then. Well, you have a good evening. I'll chit chat with you later. All right.
You do the same.
All right, peace. Well, that was my old head K talking that good old Inoue talk, man. You see what's on his mind, man. He liked that Frank and Tank. That was the first thing he brought up, and then he brought up the Devin and Haney fight. So, we got some good ones. We got, boxing is being somewhat generous to us. We got a couple good fights, some things to look forward to. But anyways, thanks for tuning in here at BodyWorkBoxing. We don't take things for face value. We do that body work.